Hi, Luann here with Culinary Chats, and welcome to my kitchen. Tonight we're going to be looking at a new product that just came out with the spring of 2021 with Pampered Chef, and it is, ta-da, the donut hole pan. We already have the donut pan, you probably know. Now we have a donut hole pan. Look at the colors on the back, isn't that pretty? I call it vintage blue, they call it Tiffany blue. Either way, it's really gorgeous. But this is so much more fun to me. The donut pan is fun and, you know, for decorating donuts and all that kind of stuff. But this is so versatile. There's so many things you can do with it, and I'll talk to you about some of those as we get to cooking. But let's get to cooking first. I'm gonna adjust this so you can see. Tonight I'm making not donuts, not donut holes, but I am making meatballs and using my donut hole pan for that. So I'm trying to be a little bit healthier, so I already have my ground turkey in here and some seasonings. I put in some 3 onion seasoning, which is, I don't believe that's a new one. I think that's been out. Because I went to dice up a onion really small, and I found out that it wasn't very good. It had gone past its time. A little bit of thyme, a little bit of Italian seasoning, and then a little bit of this rosemary herb. And that's generally how I do it. I just start grabbing seasonings and see what looks good. And I'm just going to put some garlic in here. I thought, well, I could use the garlic seasoning, but I actually have some fresh over there, so I'll just use that instead. Knife to get that off with would be perfect. My trash is right down here, so hopefully I don't bump the camera over when I do this part. Throwing out the little peels. So you don't have to peel your, oops, that's a little bit too big to put in there. You don't have to peel your garlic cloves before you mince it with the mincer here. So that's one of the beautiful things about it. But look at all that garlic that came out. That's just crazy. And once you've had kind of doing your own fresh seasonings or things like garlic, there's no comparison at all. So this said 3 cloves of garlic. It sounds like a lot because these are really big cloves. But I'm not sure if you can get too much garlic in my books because I really do like it. So to empty that out, you just, if you can see in there, the garlic peel sits down at the bottom, and all you need to do is take a knife or this little tool that comes with it and just kind of flip it out into the trash, and that's it. So I'm also going to put a little bit of Parmesan cheese in. And I always do a little ketchup in my meatloaf, so I'm going to do the same thing here, but not a lot because it's already kind of liquidy. I put an egg in there already, some salt and pepper I already added, just a little bit of barbecue sauce just to give it a little bit of a twang. And then I'm going to do a little bit of some seasoned breadcrumbs. These are, I think, yeah, these are, of course, they're garlic and herb, but I also have Parmesan flavored, so I don't measure a whole lot unless it's a recipe that needs to be a little bit more precise. So I'm going to kind of get that all mixed up together there so we don't get a big bite of pure garlic. The mixing bowls, if you haven't seen them from Pampered Chef, they're the stainless steel ones. See at the bottom, it has a kind of a rubbery gripping kind of a pad to it so it doesn't slide all over. Except for I have it on a cutting board mat, so the mat might a little bit. And they have the thumb holder They have measurements on the inside and metric and conventional. And then a pouring spout. So I used to think, well, what's so different about mixing bowls? But there are some differences. I'll put just a little bit more because that seems just a little bit too moist still in there. So another thing I'm going to try, I don't know if it'll work or not, I'm going to put a little chunk of some mozzarella cheese inside each meatball. I heard somebody else tell me that they did that and it turned out really good. So, and to do that, I just have some mozzarella cheese sticks, which I don't normally buy because they're kind of, you know, pricier than just buying it whole. But for this and the convenience that you can get out of it, I thought, yeah, you know, I'll do that. So there's 24 wells in here, so it'll make 24 donut holes, or in this case, 24 meatballs. So I just used, I got 6 little pieces per mozzarella stick there, and used just the four sticks. So it really didn't take a whole lot. And we'll see. We'll see. It may not work very well, or might be something I do again. We'll just have to find out. Okay, so the middle medium cookie scoop works perfect for the size of the well that we have here. As you can kind of see if I set it down in there, it is just about right. So I'm going to kind of overfill these. I haven't used this pan before, and I have certainly not used it for meatballs, so it's a little bit of an experimental stage here. So I'm going to overfill the bottom of them so that it gets down inside that recessed well. When you go to do donut holes or whatever else you're using that for, you will not want to fill it more than half to 2/3 at the most. Because, you know, to allow for the rising that will happen. And when you put it in there, the dough, for whether it's cookie dough or I mean donut dough or whatever it is you're doing, it's going to look flat on the top, not like these meatballs I'm trying to give a nice round appearance to. Because you're actually going to be putting the round long part, the ball, down into the well there. But believe me, it does raise and it comes out round. So people have been having so much fun with this. At first I thought, not really for me, but I started reading all the things that was being done with it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's going to be super fun to try all different things. And then even things like this, like meatballs. So some of the things that they're using it for cake pops. So you know, pretty typical, use cake dough, or you can use whatever kind of dough you want. You can even use donut dough, but putting the little sticks in it and decorating them all up for the cake pops. So that's fun. Kids love those. Other things, you can use them for hush puppies. You can use it for cornbread. You can use it for brownie bites. You can fill your donut holes, which sounds delicious. So, some of the things people are filling their donut holes with, they are making the donut hole, and they're using that little chocolate drizzler that we have. It's a green one, just made to drizzle the liquid chocolate. But they're using that to inject stuff into, but I think you could also use your Easy Decorator equipment to do that. But they are putting like lemon pie filling inside and rolling them in powdered sugar. Oh my gosh, that sounds so good. They're filling them with jelly. They are filling them with, let me see, what else were they filling them with? They had like peanut butter type things. You could do peanut butter balls. You could do energy balls, energy bites that are kind of a popular thing. There's so many different recipes for that. In here, you can do corn fritters, hush puppies. I wasn't sure how much that would make because that was just 1 pound. And sometimes when I use turkey and trying to be healthy, I'll just go straight turkey, ground turkey, and sometimes I'll put it like half turkey and half beef, ground beef, just to give it a little bit more of the typical flavor. But this time I just used the turkey, ground turkey, just trying to be a little bit healthier. And I didn't really want a ton of these either, so this should be about right. I think those will be fine. If I wanted them to be a little bit prettier, I think I would have gotten the turkey meat just a little bit firmer with a little bit more breadcrumbs. But this will be absolutely fine. They're going to cook up and be beautiful. And they're going to be tasty. So that's the best part. So before I give them too much how I like them, I'm going to try to push these cheese cubes down in there. This may change the whole shape and everything quite a bit. I think I should have maybe cut those even smaller or gotten something else to push those down in there with. There we go. Here we are experimenting together. So then I have to close that puppy back up. And I may or may not do this with all of them. They made it sound, whoever told me about this, made it sound like they cooked up just fine. Sometimes, you know, when you do stuff like this, the cheese kind of liquefies and comes out, you know, a little bit. You can kind of lose some of the cheese, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So we will see, but they are kind of covering up okay. Hopefully you can see that on the video there. So my plan is to have meatballs and spaghetti squash. So instead of traditional carb-loaded spaghetti, I'm putting it on top of the spaghetti squash spaghetti. So I think it'll be good. I really don't mind that. I think it's really pretty good, kind of tasty, and a nice change. You don't feel quite as sluggish after eating that as opposed to the typical pasta. Oh gosh, I hope I remember where I'm at here. I guess if I already have one in there, I won't probably be able to get a second one in. Or somebody's going to get a lot of cheese. And then you can put whatever sauce, of course, on that you want. Or just even like a little oil and garlic infused oil or something like that. We actually have a jar of vodka sauce that we'd opened a few days ago for another meal that I had made and only used less than half. Not vodka, vodka sauce. So since we have that and need to use that, that's what we'll have on here tonight. Just a kind of a nice red sauce with a little bit of flavor to it. Yeah, I guess I've got plenty of cheese. So I made 24 cubes. I guess I'm gonna get to eat some of those as snacks, since I have them all cut up. It's all an experiment. So they do have a new donut mix that Pampered Chef has as one of their pantry items. Somehow I didn't end up getting that. I'm gonna have to, I did order it. I don't have it in yet. So I'm pretty excited to test that. Don't quote me on this, but I think it'll make, gosh, I think it makes 2 batches of 24, but again, I don't entirely remember for sure. So I am going to stick those in the oven and look at the time, and there we are. So I know how much time that's gonna take. Should be done in probably about 20 minutes. And meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and, this has already been baked. Might have been baked a little bit more than it needed to be by the looks of it. The spaghetti squash. And I'm going to go ahead and shred some of that and get it ready. So last time I made it, I used the quick shred utensil that Pampered Chef has. It's a great, see, each side is a little bit designed a little bit different. It's a great product to shred pulled pork or beef or several other things with. But I thought, well, I'm just going to experiment with that because it was super tedious doing that with a fork. Because the last spaghetti squash I had was really big. It was huge, and I couldn't believe how much spaghetti it had come out of it. So that made it super fast and easy. So I thought, I am just gonna do it like that from now on because it is nice. So I don't know how much you had spaghetti squash, maybe even more than I have, and you're a pro. But you can cook this in the Instapot, in the quick cooker, from what I've read. I have not done that. And apparently when you do that, you don't have to cut it open, which is kind of weird. But that would be nice because cutting it open is kind of difficult. It's not as hard as an acorn squash, but it is still a pretty hard surface to cut through. But didn't have too much trouble with my knife set there, the forged steel kind. And then you just open it up and put just a tiniest bit of oil on it so it doesn't get dried out. A tiny bit of salt and pepper if you want, and place it upside down on the cookie sheet. And at least the sources that I've read say to poke a few holes in it with a fork, which I did on the outside after you've flipped it upside down, so it goes through the rind or the peel on the outside. And you cook it for 30 to 40 minutes. Some sources say longer, but from what I've read, it tends to get more soggy if you cook it for longer. Now this, I cooked for 40 minutes. And I can tell you by looking at it that I cooked it too long. And probably the reason that is because it's a lot smaller than the last one I bought. But this is kind of mushy here, which is not how I prefer to have it. But you know what? That's how we're going to have it tonight. So maybe those meatballs are going to be so very awesome that nobody will notice that the spaghetti squash is a little bit mushy. But it is really good though. And it's such a simple thing. You don't have to really put anything on it, even just a little, if you wanted a little bit of butter, a little bit of flavored oil, or nothing at all. So the other fun thing that I have, and I'm going to start using in demo soon, is the veggie spiralizer. So that'll allow to spiralize pretty much anything from zucchinis to acorn squash, anything in between. And make sure I don't have the peel in there, since it's usually doesn't fall apart like that. So that's another sign that's just overcooked. But I'm pretty excited about that. It'll be a nice way to substitute at least some of the carbs that we have, that we eat. for something that actually feels a lot like a noodle. I don't know if you've ever tried the zoodles or anything at the Noodles and Company, or if you've made them at home, but they're actually not too bad. Not bad at all. So once I get that up and running enough to where I feel comfortable with it, I will absolutely come on and demo it. But I'm always surprised how much spaghetti comes out of these things, since this is a fairly small one. But see, the main thing I wanted to show though was that this quick shred, it works really awesome for this. So you have so many more tines going across than with a regular fork. You'd be here way too long. And the reason it's kind of tearing it up is just because of the way it was cooked. It didn't do that in the past. It was fine. It doesn't cut through the peel on the back typically. That's the cook's fault. So I'm pretty excited to see how this all turns out, how it all comes together. It's kind of a fun version or a way to make a meal such as spaghetti and meatballs healthier, but still tasty, by using the turkey meat instead of hamburger or ground beef, and substituting the spaghetti squash for the typical pasta. So once it gets all done, I will take a picture of it together, because it's still got just enough time on there that I don't think you'll want to wait. And put it on my business page on Facebook, which is Culinary Chats with Luann. And there we go. Let me make sure that wasn't, yeah, I didn't see a little line in there. Okay, and I'm going to keep that going. See how much there was in there. And this is the insulated bowl, this is the small one. I think it's a 1.5 quart. That will keep this hot. They do such an awesome job of keeping the foods hot. I'm super impressed with them and fell in love with them pretty quickly. And the shape of them is nice because it's just a nice big opening. And they do have this little tab on the inside of the lid, so you can do that number while you're dishing up your foods without having to set the lid down on the table. So I do like that also. So I'll just put that in there, and that'll keep that nice and toasty until we're ready to eat. As you can see, it's already starting to steam up a little bit. So that heat is not going anywhere in there. Okay, I will see you soon. This will be all done, and I can't wait to show it to you. And here they are, the finished product. They look really good. The cheese did kind of run out just a little bit on some of them, but that's kind of typical for cheese that's being baked. So they taste delicious. I already snuck one. So we're gonna put those in with our spaghetti squash. See you later.